It is April 18th and spring is here. I'm gonna go in and see if any of my hives need supers. And I've never even thought about putting a super on a hive in April before, but this year, I think a couple hives might need supers. All right, it's 55 degrees right now, and the nights have been very cold here. You know, we're down in the 30s at night. Overall, the weather's been pretty good this spring. I'm gonna start up here in the oak hive and see if I can give them a super, because I have a feeling they're pretty packed in here. So bees are flying. It's a nice day. The thing is, the resources are not out yet. The red maples have started to open. There are no ground flowers. I mean, a few daffodils here and there, but they're really just going for tree pollen right now. No dandelions. The dandelion greens are just starting to come up. So I'm gonna see if I see any natural pollen coming in. I do see some orange pollen. I want to see if they're packing it in here, if they're running out of space at all. And yeah, if they need extra space, they're going to get a super today. And I have never even thought about supering in April. Usually April is a build-up month for me. It's just, this year is just different. Actually, what I should say is the hives are different. I'm giving most of the credit to the hive because I've never had bees with this much insulation, so I've never had hives with this many bees in April before. Hives have definitely dried out from their early spring moistness. I want to see how they're doing on resources, if they've gone through that honey. I gave them a pollen patty and a half and then another whole pollen patty a week ago, and it is no sign of it at all. So they're using the pollen patties. By the way, those were Man Lake pollen patties, so they ate them up just fine. Still a lot of resources in here. I can't really tell if that's fresh nectar or if that's syrup from the fall, but there's glistening nectar down there. So much honey, oh my gosh. This is a heavy, heavy frame. I almost think that might be fresh nectar. It's coming from somewhere. That is clear, oh my gosh, yeah, that's fresh. I don't know where they're getting nectar this time of year, but holy cow. All right, this is going to the outside. Okay, we got drone brood. There's eggs on the bottom row. The very last cell, there are eggs in the very last bottom cells. So this is another thing about these hives, is the hives are warm top to bottom, so the queens lay to the bottom. Which I used to never see in my double deeps. They always ignored, there's the queen. They always ignored the lower frame with double deeps, but these are warmed all the way down, so she's laying to the very bottom. There's pollen over there. Oh my gosh, they just love these frames. I wanted to explain something. I want to make a whole video about this, but the bee barn concept is not about the insulation. The insulation is a great thing, but this whole thing, it hinges on the frames. It's these big frames with continuous comb. That is what's making these hives work. I mean, it's both. It's the insulation and the frames, but the whole inspiration was the deep frames. The deep frames oriented vertically. It's just a great combination. I forgot how heavy these frames got. Massive circle of brood. She's relaying the center. Massive circle of brood. Eggs to the very bottom. Drones in the middle, in that gap. This is the way. This is the way. Unbelievable. Another one, top to bottom. Okay, they're gonna get maybe 2 supers. Jeez. When all this brood hatches, they will need a place to go. And another huge brood frame. Both sides. Looks like a honey frame outside. They're getting a super. Watch out, bees. Time to start working up here now. All right, super in April. That is a first. Okay, here's another mega hive. Yeah, the hives have really dried out. Bam. You'll notice when I'm inspecting these hives, I don't ever take a frame out and put it aside. I just take the spacer out. The frames go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. They never leave the air space of the hive, and they never hang outside for any time. They stay in order unless I do purposely move them, like move a honey frame to the outside or something. But they always stay in order, they always stay in the same orientation, and they don't leave the hive. So we do have drones. People were concerned about that nuke that was making a new queen, that there wouldn't be any drones, but there are drones. I think that's fresh nectar. This is super heavy. Pollen and drones. And eggs. Ooh, there's a little strip of open cells here, and it's eggs right there. So she's looking for places to lay. Larva down to the bottom. So all those water issues from a month and a half ago, this seems just like a regular old summer hive. Everything's dry. Bees are moisture managers. They deal with airflow, temperature, moisture control. They are HVAC masters. Still space to lay on this frame. Yeah, they're managing the area to lay. There she is. Still has her dot from last year. She's a rock star. These frames just give her so many options. The thing that I always hated about double brood boxes where you have deep medium or 3 mediums or double deeps or whatever is there's all these barriers, there's gaps and wood and just to cross over all these little obstacles to lay more. And with these frames, they're just continuous comb. She can go up and down and lay every inch of the frame. I'm going to give them a super because there's going to be a lot of brood emerging and they need place to put forage. Look at that frame. It's mid-April in Massachusetts in an outdoor hive. I've seen enough. There is no sign of swarming. They're getting a super, and they are going to continue doing what they're doing. Super number 2, 7-frame supers. This is the answer to everyone who asks, how do I extract those big frames? I don't. I put supers on the hives and I extract only from the supers. Anything that's in that brood box is the bee's honey. Anything in the super is the beekeeper's honey. Let's look at our other monster here, Maple. So Ian's suggestion of putting the pollen patty closer to the brood makes a lot of sense, and it seems to have worked. They ate a lot more of it this time than that first week when I had it over to the side. They didn't finish it though. The oak hive killed 2.5 pollen patties this spring. This hive has done about a total of about 1, maybe 1.25. But there's got to be local pollen now. And just so you know, I have never seen a swarm before June in our region, in our immediate location. Swarm season for us is after Memorial Day, which is May 31st. I always see them like first, second week of June is about when they start. But I've never seen hives this big before. So drone comb, drones over here. Plenty of resources. Yeah, the queen's got right to work with the drones over the last week. Lots of drones in here. And the queens are putting the drones in the gap of my frames that I made. I left an open gap in the middle of the frames, and that's where they put drone comb, which is right what I predicted. Some of the frames have worker comb straight across, but the bigger hives have made that middle section drones. So she hasn't laid this frame yet. But we got larvae on the outside. So all that honey I was worried about in the hive, they're using it up. You know, there's a lot of honey. I wouldn't say an excess amount, but there's a lot. And there's so many bees, they're using it now. Oh, we got a queen cup. And it is empty. I remember this hive having queen cups. There's larvae all down there. I remember this hive usually had a couple queen cups. There's another one, also empty. I might take those off if I see our queen laying eggs. It's a little early to swarm bees. This hive is massive, but it's not as big as the oak hive or the beech hive. Gotta say, there's definitely a lack of eggs. There's not as many eggs as I thought I'd see in here. Oh. What are you doing on the bottom here? Just making comb down there. That's not swarm or anything. Massive frame of brood. Why are you drawing comb down there? Couple of cups. I'm taking those right off. Taking that right off. You don't need this in your life. That was just comb down there, but the cells that I just took off were empty. Cups, rather. A lot of eggs. I mean, there's a laying queen in here. Filled with pollen. Look at all that pollen. That's all just foraged pollen. Top to bottom. Okay, supers in April. This is a new thing for me, but I'm very excited. I mean, it's the only thing to do. You know, I can't wait because there's gigantic hives with lots of bees and tons of brood. They're bringing in resources. They need a place to put the resources, so supers. I know that the hives are big enough to keep that space warm. There's going to be bees up there working up there and maybe even moving resources from the brood box up to the supers. I've seen them do that before. And anything that's coming in can now just go right up there. The other 3 hives that I didn't give supers are building just fine. They're all above average for what I'm used to seeing this time of year with my old hives. So things are just pumping along. And the other thing is that nuke that I did look at. The queen has emerged, she's in there, but you know, the hive population's getting small. I'm gonna just give her a shot and let her try and mate and see what happens. I don't have anything to lose with that hive because if it you know, dwindles and I have to combine it with another hive, it's just gonna give me space to maybe split one of my big hives into. But I already have more bees than I really need. I really want to focus on the 6 big hives this year and see what kind of honey production I can get. And the nukes are backup. I'm not planning on selling nukes. I'm not planning on, you know, expanding the bee yard at all. The nukes are extra. They're backup hives, and they've already done their job because all 6 hives are alive and well. So I didn't even need backups this year. So I have too many nukes. So if I lose one, I lose one. It's not a bad thing. So that's where we are. Thank you so much for watching.